That Wednesday, my phone buzzed at 4:04 p.m., and a text from my wife shattered my world. Working late to the office conference. Don't wait up tonight. In that single moment, a cold dread began to coil in my stomach, because I knew, with absolute certainty, something was terribly wrong. A conference? In 8 years of marriage, she'd never mentioned a conference. She was the queen of complaining about mandatory meetings weeks in advance. Yet here she was dropping this bombshell like it was just another Tuesday. And the timing? It felt off. We had dinner plans, our usual Wednesday routine, Chinese takeout, catching up on our week. She knew I looked forward to it, but this mysterious conference was apparently more important than me being in the loop. I leaned back in my office chair, staring at the message. The tone was different, too. Her texts were usually chatty, full of details, how boring everything was. This one, cold, distant, like she was informing her roommate, not her husband. For the past 3 weeks, she'd been acting strange. Coming home later, taking phone calls in other rooms, vague answers about her day. And then there was Jake. Jake from accounting. She'd mentioned him more times in the last month than her own boss in the past year. Jake thinks the new system is inefficient. Jake suggested a better way. Jake has such funny stories. Jake. A theory started to form, a horrible, gut-wrenching possibility. My fingers moved, almost on their own accord. Hope you and Jake from accounting enjoy the presentation. I hit send. The response was immediate. Not immediate like she was typing. Immediate like she was already holding her phone, waiting for my reply. 3 dots appeared, disappeared, then reappeared. She was panicking. Then my phone rang. She never called during work hours. Hey, honey. Her voice was higher than usual, strained. Just got your text. Why would you mention Jake? I kept my voice calm, almost casual. Isn't he at the conference, too? You talk about him enough. Figured he'd be there. Silence. Then a nervous laugh. Oh, well, yes. I mean, maybe. It's a big conference. Lots of people. I wouldn't know who all is attending. Interesting. Just yesterday, she told me Jake was working on a special project with her department. Today, she didn't know if he'd be at their conference. What's the conference about again? I asked. More silence. It's about new compliance procedures. Very boring stuff. You know how these corporate things are. I knew exactly how these corporate things were. And I knew her company's fiscal calendar. They never scheduled major conferences mid-quarter. Too busy with actual work. Sounds exciting, I said, a dry edge to my voice. What? Until 11? Then there's networking afterward? Networking until midnight on a Wednesday? Your boss is really pushing the team hard these days. She rushed to fill the silence. Well, you know how it is in our industry. Actually, I didn't know because I worked in the same industry at a competing firm, and we never held a compliance conference that went past 7 p.m., let alone midnight. I'll let you get back to your conference, I said, my voice flat. Drive safe. I hung up and checked the time. 5:03 p.m. If this conference was so important, so time-sensitive, why was she able to take a 10-minute phone call to discuss Jake from accounting? My gut was screaming, but my brain demanded proof. I opened my laptop and logged into our shared cell phone account. Her location services were still on. According to the GPS, her phone was at a restaurant across town, not her office building, not any conference center. Bella Vista Italian Place. The kind with dim lighting and intimate booths. Perfect for a romantic dinner. Terrible for a corporate compliance meeting. I sat back, the information washing over me. My wife of 8 years was lying. She was having dinner with another man and had constructed an elaborate story to cover it up. The same man she'd been mentioning constantly for weeks. But instead of anger, I felt something else. Clarity. I'd been noticing the signs for weeks, but I'd given her the benefit of the doubt. The late nights, the secretive phone calls, the new clothes, the sudden interest in the gym. Classic cheating behavior. I'd been too trusting, too blind to acknowledge it. Now I had confirmation. I looked at my phone again. Should I drive to Bella Vista? Confront them in public? Make a scene? No. That's what emotional men do. Men who react instead of plan. I had a better idea. I sent one more text. Hope you and Jake from accounting enjoy the presentation. This time, I watched her location in real time. Within 30 seconds, her phone started moving. Fast. Faster than walking. She was running to her car. 18 minutes later, I heard her key in the front door. Her hands were shaking so badly. It took her 3 tries to get it unlocked. "Honey," she called out, her voice trembling. "I'm home early. The conference got canceled. Technical difficulties with the projector." I walked to the kitchen, where she stood, still in her coat, clutching her purse like a shield. "That's too bad," I said calmly. "Good thing you hadn't ordered dinner yet." She blinked rapidly. "What do you mean?" "At the conference. Good thing they canceled before you ordered food. Hate to waste money on room service." "Oh, yes. Right. No food, but I could smell garlic bread on her clothes. And there was a small red sauce stain on her white blouse that hadn't been there this morning." "How was Jake?" I asked casually. Her face went pale. "Jake? You know, Jake from accounting. The one you hoped would enjoy the presentation. Did he make it to the conference before it got canceled?" She opened and closed her mouth like a fish. "I don't. Why do you keep asking about Jake?" "Just curious. You mentioned him so often, I feel like I know the guy." She forced a laugh. "Do I? I hadn't noticed." I smiled. Not a warm smile. The kind of smile that doesn't reach your eyes. Must be my imagination. She excused herself to change, but I noticed she took her phone with her. When she came back down, she was wearing a different perfume, not the light floral scent from this morning. Something heavier. Something meant to cover up another smell. We ordered Chinese food and sat on the couch. She kept checking her phone, jumping every time it buzzed. When a number she didn't recognize called twice, she declined both times. "Popular night," I observed. "Just spam calls," she muttered. At 9:30, she yawned dramatically. "I'm exhausted from that conference stress. Going to bed early." But she didn't go to sleep. I could hear her whispering on the phone in our bedroom. When I walked past the door, she suddenly got quiet. I went to my home office and opened my laptop. Time to do some research on Jake from accounting. Social media made it easy. Jake Thompson, 29, single, worked in her building. His recent post showed him at Bella Vista Restaurant tonight, 2 hours ago. The photo showed a candlelit table set for 2. The caption read, "Great dinner with a special someone." Posted at 7:23 p.m., right around the time my wife was supposed to be learning about compliance procedures. I took a screenshot and saved it to a secure folder. Tomorrow, I'd start making some calls. But tonight, I let her think she was clever because the best strategies require patience. And I was just getting started. The next morning, she was gone before I woke up. Her side of the bed was cold, meaning she'd left early. Real early. A note on the kitchen counter read, "Emergency meeting. Back tonight. Love you." Emergency meeting on a Thursday? Her company didn't operate that way, but I appreciated her commitment to the lie. I called in sick to work. For the first time in 3 years, I had more important things to do than quarterly reports. First stop, her office building. I parked across the street, with a clear view of the employee entrance. If she really had an emergency meeting, I'd see her car. If she was lying again, well, that would tell me everything I needed to know. By 10 a.m., I'd seen dozens of employees enter the building. Her car wasn't in the parking lot. Her usual spot was empty. Strike 2. By the way, if you're still with me, soaking up every agonizing detail of this unraveling, please take a moment to hit that subscribe button. You won't want to miss the next unbelievable Chapter 1 uncover. I drove to Bella Vista Restaurant. The lunch crowd hadn't arrived yet, so I walked in and approached the hostess. "Excuse me," I began. "I think my wife left her earring here last night." She was dining with a colleague, around 7. "Table for 2, probably by the window." The hostess smiled. "Oh yes, I remember them. Lovely couple. Very romantic. They seemed so happy together. Romantic. There it was. Did they stay long?" "Until about 8:30. They ordered the anniversary special." The gentleman seemed nervous. Kept checking his phone. Sweet proposal, though we don't usually see that on Wednesday nights. My blood turned cold. Proposal? "Well, not exactly a proposal," she clarified, but he gave her something in a small box. She seemed surprised, but pleased. Very emotional moment. I thanked her and left before I said something I'd regret. Back in my car, I sat in the parking lot, processing this information. Jake had given my wife jewelry. She'd been emotional about it. They'd ordered the anniversary special, like they were celebrating something. 8 years of marriage, and she was celebrating anniversaries with another man. I drove home and went straight to our bedroom. If she was hiding gifts from Jake, she'd keep them somewhere I wouldn't accidentally find them. Her jewelry box? Too obvious. Under the mattress? Too amateur. Then I remembered her workout bag. She'd been going to the gym more often lately. Perfect hiding spot for someone who thought her husband would never look there. Bingo. Inside a zippered pocket, wrapped in tissue paper, was a silver bracelet. Expensive. Engraved with "Always yours, Jay." My wife doesn't have friends whose names start with J. Just Jake. I took photos of the bracelet from every angle, documenting the engraving. Then I wrapped it back up exactly as I found it. Next, I check her laptop. She'd been careless with passwords lately, probably because guilt makes people distracted. Her email was still logged in. I found them immediately. Dozens of messages between her and Jake, going back 2 months. The early ones were professional. Talk about spreadsheets and quarterly reports. But they quickly evolved. Thanks for listening today. You really understand me. Can't wait to see you tomorrow. These meetings are the best part of my day. My husband would never appreciate a sunset like this. You see beauty in everything. And then the recent ones, the ones that made my hands clench in a fist. Last night was perfect. I never knew I could feel this way again. We need to be more careful. I think he's getting suspicious. Jake, I love you. I know it's complicated, but I can't keep pretending anymore. I love you. She loved him. I screenshotted every message and forwarded them to a secure email address I created just for this purpose. Evidence for later. The final message was from this morning. Can't meet today. He's acting strange. Need to lay low for a few days. Missing you already. So that's where she really was. Not at an emergency meeting. Hiding from me because she thought I was getting suspicious. She was right. I closed the laptop and went to my office. Time to research divorce lawyers. But first, I needed to understand exactly what I was dealing with. I called her company's main number. Hi, this is Dr. Miller's office. I need to confirm an appointment for Mrs. Thompson today. She mentioned she had a work conflict. One moment. The receptionist came back quickly. I'm sorry, but Mrs. Thompson isn't scheduled to work today. She called in sick this morning. Oh, that's strange. She told me she had an emergency meeting. No, sir. She's definitely not here today. Would you like to reschedule? I hung up. Strike 3. My wife was somewhere in the city, lying about being sick, probably with Jake. While I sat at home like a fool. She was building a whole other life with another man. But I wasn't a fool anymore. I spent the afternoon researching Jake's social media profiles, his address, his work history, his ex-girlfriends. By evening, I knew more about Jake Thompson than his own mother did. 29 years old, divorced last year. No kids. Lived in an apartment complex 15 minutes away. Made decent money, but nothing spectacular. Drove a Honda Civic. Liked craft beer and hiking. Most importantly, he had a reputation. 3 women in his Instagram comments mentioned learning the hard way about his character. One ex-girlfriend had posted cryptically about cheaters never change. My wife wasn't special. She was just next in line. At 6 p.m., her key turned in the lock. She walked in looking exhausted, like she'd been running on adrenaline all day. How was your emergency meeting? I asked from the kitchen. She froze. What? Your emergency meeting this morning? How did it go? Oh, fine. Just some budget issues. Very boring. Must have been serious to call you in on your sick day. Her eyes widened. My sick day? Your office said you called in sick when I called to see if you'd be free for lunch. I watched her mind race, trying to figure out how to explain this contradiction. I was sick, but then they called and said they really needed me for this budget thing, so I dragged myself in. That's dedication. Most people would have stayed home sick. Well, you know how responsible I am. Responsible, right? Did Jake make it to the budget meeting? You know, your colleague from accounting. Same reaction as yesterday. Panic, followed by overcompensation. I don't know why you keep asking about Jake. He's just a co-worker. Just seems like you mention him a lot lately. Thought maybe you two were friends. We're professional colleagues. That's all. I nodded and smiled. Of course. Just professional. She excused herself to shower. While the water ran, I checked her phone. She'd changed her passcode since yesterday. New 4-digit combination. But I noticed something interesting. The phone case was different. Yesterday, it was black leather. Today, it was blue silicone. Someone had bought her a new phone case. Someone whose favorite color was blue, based on his social media posts. When she came downstairs, I was reading on the couch. "What's that?" she asked, noting the book in my hands. Article about workplace relationships. Says most affairs start with emotional connections between colleagues. She nearly dropped her coffee mug. That's interesting. It says here that 65% of workplace affairs begin with innocent conversations about personal problems. The other person becomes a confidant, someone who understands them better than their spouse. Her face was getting paler by the minute. "Why are you reading about affairs?" I looked up at her with innocent eyes. "Research for work. We're updating our HR policies about workplace conduct. Want to make sure we cover all the scenarios." "Oh, according to this, the most common sign is when someone starts working late more often, or takes mysterious phone calls, or mentions a coworker's name more frequently than usual." She sat down across from me, fidgeting with her new phone case. Those seem like pretty vague signs. Could be innocent. True, but the article says when multiple signs appear together, it's usually not innocent anymore. I turned the page dramatically. It also says the guilty party often starts arguments with their spouse to justify their behavior, creates emotional distance to make the affair feel less wrong. She was quiet for a long moment. "Have I been starting arguments?" I pretended to think. "Now that you mention it, you have been more critical lately. Little things. My coffee habits. How I load the dishwasher. My choice of restaurants. I didn't realize. It's okay. According to this, it's a subconscious behavior. The person doing it doesn't always recognize it. I could see her mind working, probably wondering how much I actually knew versus how much I was guessing. The truth was I knew everything. But letting her think I was just reading random articles was much more effective than confronting her directly. She went to bed early again. More whispered phone calls. More lies about being tired. But I wasn't tired at all. I had research to finish and plans to make because tomorrow I was going to start gathering the kind of evidence that couldn't be explained away. Friday morning, I woke up with a plan. She was in the shower when I called her office. "Good morning, this is Thompson Industries. How can I help you?" "Hi, I'd like to send flowers to one of your employees. My wife works there, and I want to surprise her for our anniversary." "How sweet. What's her name?" "Mrs. Thompson. She works closely with Jake in accounting. I thought it would be nice to have them delivered during their team meeting today." "Oh, I'm sorry, sir, but Jake called in sick today, and Mrs. Thompson isn't scheduled to work Fridays anymore. She switched to a 4-day schedule last month." "4-day schedule? Since when? Are you sure?" "She left for work an hour ago." "Let me double check." "Yes, sir. She's definitely off on Fridays. Has been since early March." "March? Right when the Jake messages started getting personal. Thank you for your help." I hung up and checked my watch. She'd been lying about working Fridays for 2 months. Every Friday, she'd gotten dressed, taken her work bag, and left the house like she was going to the office. Where's she really going? When she came downstairs, I was making coffee. "Big day at work?" I asked casually. "Just the usual busy Friday." "That quarterly report still keeping you busy?" "Yes, very demanding project." I nodded sympathetically. "Well, don't work too hard. It's Friday after all. I'll try to wrap up early." She kissed my cheek and left. I watched from the window as she drove away, then immediately got in my car to follow. She didn't go toward her office. Instead, she drove to the same apartment complex I'd identified as Jake's address. She parked in a visitor spot and walked straight to Building C. I parked behind a maintenance truck and waited. 45 minutes later, Jake appeared at a second-floor window. Shirtless, he waved down at her car, then disappeared. 5 minutes after that, my wife walked out of the building, adjusting her clothes. She was having sex with him in his apartment while I thought she was at work. For 2 months, every Friday had been her affair day. I followed her to a coffee shop where she sat alone for an hour, probably coming down from the guilt high. Then she went shopping, buying groceries for dinner, playing the perfect wife role. This was her routine. Work 4 days, cheat on Fridays, come home, and pretend everything was normal. I drove home and called a divorce attorney. "Thompson and Associates, this is Patricia. I need to schedule a consultation about divorce proceedings." "Of course. What's the general situation?" "Adultery. I have evidence." "How much evidence?" "Text messages, emails, photographs, witness testimony, GPS location data, and visual confirmation. That's very thorough. Can you come on Monday at 10 o'clock? I'll be there. When she came home that evening, she was in an unusually good mood, humming while she cooked, smiling for no reason. The afterglow of spending the day with her boyfriend. You seem happy, I observed. Just a good day at work. We finished that big project I've been stressed about. The quarterly report? Exactly. Feels good to have it done. I bet. You've been working so hard on it. All those late nights and early meetings. She nodded enthusiastically. But it's finally finished. Things should get back to normal now. Normal? As if there was anything normal about this situation. We should celebrate, I said. How about I surprise you with dinner tomorrow night? I was thinking we could go to your office. I could bring takeout. We could eat in the conference room where you've been having all those meetings. Make it special. Her smile faltered. My office? Sure. I've never seen your workspace since they remodeled, and I'd love to meet some of your colleagues, especially Jake. You talk about him so much. I feel like we're practically friends. She was quiet for a long moment. I don't think that's a good idea. Office security, you know, they don't really allow visitors after hours. What about during regular hours? I could bring lunch on Monday. Monday's really busy. Maybe some other time. I smiled. Of course, some other time. Saturday morning, I implemented phase 2 of my plan. I have a great idea. I announced over breakfast. Let's do something spontaneous today. Drive to the coast, walk on the beach, have dinner at that seafood place you love. She looked genuinely excited for the first time in weeks. That sounds amazing. Perfect. But first, I need to stop by your office. I left some papers in the car yesterday, and I want to grab them before we hit the road. Just a quick stop. 5 minutes. You can show me the new conference room while we're there. Her excitement vanished. Actually, I don't think that's necessary. What papers? Insurance documents for the car, in case we break down on a road trip. A lie, of course. We can get them later. It'll just take a minute. Come on. I'm curious to see where you spend so much time. She was trapped. Refusing would be too obvious. But agreeing meant exposing her lie about working Fridays. I don't have my access card with me. No problem. The security guard can let us in. You work there. On weekends, they're really strict about visitors. I'm not a visitor. I'm your husband. The word husband made her flinch. Maybe we should just go straight to the coast, she said weakly. After we stopped by her office, I insisted. 20 minutes later, we pulled into her company's parking lot. It was nearly empty. Just a few cars belonging to weekend maintenance staff. Looks pretty dead, I observed. Yes, most people don't work weekends. But you've been working so many extra hours lately. Thought maybe you'd have company. We walked to the main entrance. She was moving slower with each step. Maybe this isn't a good idea, she said as we reached the door. Why not? I just remembered they changed the security protocols. Spouses aren't allowed anymore. I walked to the information board next to the entrance. According to this, visiting hours are 8 a.m. to 6 p.m. on weekends. Family members welcome with employee escort. She was running out of excuses. What exactly are you afraid of? I asked directly. I'm not afraid of anything. I just think it's unnecessary. Then let's go in. The security guard recognized her immediately. Mrs. Thompson, don't usually see you on weekends. Just stopping by quickly. And this must be your husband. She talks about you all the time. I shook his hand. Nice to meet you. I've heard so much about this place, especially about her Friday projects. The guard looked confused. Friday projects? But ma'am, you don't work Fridays anymore. I turned to look at my wife. Her face had gone completely white. What do you mean? I asked the guard. Mrs. Thompson switched to a 4-day schedule months ago. Monday through Thursday. Haven't seen her on a Friday since March. That's interesting, I said slowly, because she's been telling me about all her Friday meetings, late conferences, emergency projects. The guard looked between us, realizing he'd stepped into something. Maybe I'm mistaken. No, I said, keeping my eyes on my wife. I don't think you're mistaken at all. She opened her mouth to speak, but no words came out. Matter of fact, I continued. Yesterday, she told me about a big quarterly report she finished. The one that's been keeping her so busy on Fridays. We finished our quarterly reports 3 weeks ago, the guard said helpfully. Submitted them to corporate on the 15th. I nodded. So, There haven't been any Friday projects? No late conferences? No emergency meetings? Not that I know of, sir. I turned back to my wife. So, where have you been going every Friday for the past 2 months? She was shaking now. I can explain. I'm sure you can, but let's do it at home. We drove back in complete silence. She stared out the passenger window, probably trying to figure out how to spin this new lie. When we got home, I sat down in the living room and waited. You want to tell me where you've really been spending your Fridays? She sat across from me, hands clasped tightly in her lap. I've been seeing a therapist. A therapist? Yes. I've been struggling with some personal issues, and I didn't want to worry you. What kind of personal issues require 8 hours of therapy every Friday? It's not just therapy. It's a whole wellness program. Therapy, meditation, group sessions. What's the name of this wellness center? Silence. What's your therapist's name? More silence. Or we could call them right now and verify your appointments. She broke. Okay, fine. I haven't been seeing a therapist. Then where have you been? I needed some time alone to think about our marriage. And this thinking required you to go to Jake's apartment every Friday morning. Her face turned ashen. How did you? I followed you today. Watched you go into his building. Watched you come out an hour later looking like you just had sex. She started crying. Not sad crying. Guilty crying. It's not what you think, really. Because I think my wife has been cheating on me for months. I think she's been lying about work to cover up her affair. I think she's been having sex with another man every Friday, while I believed she was earning money for her household. Please let me explain. Explain what? The lie about the therapist? Which lie would you like to explain first? She was sobbing now. I never meant for this to happen. But it did happen, and you've been lying to me about it for months. I love you. No, I said firmly. You don't. People who love each other don't do this. It was a mistake. A mistake that happened every Friday for 2 months. That's not a mistake. That's a choice. She looked up at me with desperate eyes. What are you going to do? I stood up. I'm going alone. Please don't leave me. You already left me. I'm just making it official. I grabbed my keys and headed for the door. When you're ready to tell me the truth about everything, we can talk, but I'm done with the lies. As I drove away, I could see her in the rearview mirror standing in our driveway, crying. But I felt something I hadn't felt in months, relief. The games were over. Now we could deal with reality. I spent 6 hours driving up the coast, windows down, thinking clearly for the first time in months. When I got home at midnight, she was waiting in the living room with red eyes and a box of tissues. We need to talk, she said as soon as I walked in. Now you want to talk. I've been thinking about everything. You deserve the truth. I sat down across from her, arms crossed. Go ahead. She took a shaky breath. It started in February. Jake and I were working late on a project. He listened to me complain about how distant we'd become, how we never talked anymore. So you talked to him instead. It wasn't supposed to mean anything. Just venting to a friend. When did the friend become something else? Gradually. He started texting me outside of work, asking how my day was. Remembering things I told him, things I should have been remembering. It felt good to have someone care about the details of my life again. I leaned forward. When did you start lying to me? The first time he asked you to lunch? When did it become sex? She flinched. 3 weeks later, I went to his apartment after work one day. It just happened. Nothing just happens. You made a choice. I know. I made the wrong choice. How many times? What? How many times did you sleep with him? She was quiet for a long moment. Every Friday for the past 2 months. 8 times. Yes. In his apartment? Yes. Did you ever bring him to our house? No. Never. Did you tell him you loved him? Her silence was answer enough. I saw the emails, I said. You told him you loved him. You told him I would never understand you the way he does. You were confused. Were you confused when he gave you jewelry? Her hand instinctively went to her wrist, where the bracelet was hidden under her sleeve. How do you know about that? I know about everything. The restaurant, the anniversary dinner, the love letters, the Friday routine. I've known for days. Then why didn't you say anything? Because I wanted to see how far you'd go with the lies. Turns out pretty far. She started crying again. I'm so sorry. I know I've hurt you. You didn't hurt me. You destroyed 8 years of marriage. There's a difference. Can we fix this? I stared at her. Fix what? Your lies? You're cheating? The fact that you've been living a double life for months. I'll end it with Jake. I'll quit my job. We can go to counseling. You think this is about Jake, don't you? Jake is just a symptom. The problem is you. Your character. Your choices. People make mistakes. Sleeping with another man 8 times isn't a mistake. Planning secret meetings isn't a mistake. Lying to my face every day for months isn't a mistake. She was sobbing now. What do you want me to do? I stood up. I want you to stop pretending this was some accident. On what you did. I had an affair. I lied to you. I betrayed our marriage. Why? Because I was selfish. Because I liked the attention. Because it was exciting to have a secret. Finally, some honesty. Do you love him? I thought I did. Do you love me? Yes. Then why did you choose him over me for 2 months? I didn't choose him over you. Every Friday, you chose him. Every time you lied, you chose him. Every time you deleted a text or hid a gift, you chose him. She had no answer for that. What happens now, she asked. Now you move out. What? I want you out of this house by tomorrow night. Where am I supposed to go? That's not my problem anymore. Can't we try to work this out? Work what out? How to trust you again. How to believe anything you say. How to forget that you've been cheating on me for months. Other couples get through this. Other couples don't matter. We matter, and we're done. Please don't do this. I stood up. I'm not doing anything. You did this when you started lying. When you started cheating. When you chose another man over your husband. I choose you now. Too late. You had 8 years to choose me. You chose him instead. I walked toward the stairs. Where are you going? To bed. You can sleep in the guest room tonight. Tomorrow, you pack your things and leave. What about our marriage? I stopped at the bottom of the stairs and looked back at her. We don't have a marriage anymore. We have a divorce to plan. Sunday morning, I was up early making calls while she packed upstairs. First call, the bank. I need to remove someone from our joint accounts immediately. Is this due to divorce proceedings, sir? Yes. I have documentation of adultery. We'll need you to come in tomorrow with proper paperwork, but I can place a temporary hold on withdrawals requiring dual signatures. Perfect. Second call, my lawyer. Thompson here. We met Friday. I need to expedite everything. What's the rush? She confessed last night. Full admission of the affair. I have her recorded confession on my phone. You recorded her? Voice memo app was running when she started talking. Completely legal in this state. Bring everything Monday. We'll file immediately. Third call, her mother. Hi, Mrs. Davis. I need to tell you something about your daughter. 20 minutes later, I'd explained the situation to her parents. Her mother cried. Her father was silent for a long time before saying, I'm sorry. She wasn't raised to act like this. I know, but I thought you should hear it from me first. What can we do? Be there for her. She's going to need family support. And you? I'm going to be fine. When she came downstairs with her suitcases, I was sitting at the kitchen table with a cup of coffee and a folder of documents. What's all that? She asked. Bank statements, account information, credit card records. Why? Because as of tomorrow, you're financially independent. Her face went pale. What does that mean? It means our joint checking account, our savings account, our credit cards are no longer yours. How am I supposed to live? Same way you were planning to live with Jake. I wasn't planning to live with Jake. Then you should have thought about that before you started an affair. She sat down across from me. Be reasonable. I am being reasonable. You want to be single? Now you're financially single, too. What about the house? It's half mine. Actually, it's not. Check the deed. My name only. I bought it before we got married. I slid the property deed across the table. Her name was nowhere on it. But I've been making payments, too. You've been contributing to household expenses. That's different than ownership. This isn't fair. Fair? You've been cheating on me for months and lying about it. Fair went out the window in February. What about my car? It's in your name. Take it. What about my retirement account? Also yours. I never touched it. She was starting to understand. I'd been protecting my assets for years without realizing it. Her affair had exposed her financial vulnerability. Where am I supposed to go? Jake's apartment seemed to work fine for Fridays. I can't live with Jake. Why not? You love him. It's complicated. It was complicated when you were married. Now it's simple. You're single. She started crying again. You're being cruel. I'm being practical. You made adult choices. Now you get adult consequences. I made a mistake. You made 8 mistakes every Friday for 2 months. My phone buzzed. Text message. Who's that? She asked. Jake. Her eyes widened. Jake's texting you? I showed her the message. We need to talk. Can you call me? He wants to talk to me about what? Let's find out. I called him on speaker. Hello, this is Thompson. You wanted to talk? Yes, sir. I heard about what happened. From who? She called me this morning. Crying. I looked at my wife. You called her before you finished packing? She didn't answer. Jake, I continued. I have a question for you. Okay. Did you know she was married when you started sleeping with her? Silence. Jake. Yes, I knew. And you did it anyway. It's complicated. Actually, it's simple. You knowingly slept with another man's wife. What's complicated about that? You fell in love. And love. Interesting. So, when are you moving in together? Another silence. What do you mean? She's leaving today. She's single now. When's the wedding? We haven't discussed that. Why not? You love her. She loves you. She's available. It's not that simple. Sure it is. Unless you were just using her for sex and never intended to leave your single life behind. That's not. Because if that's the case, then you played her just like she played me. I need to think about things. Think fast. She needs somewhere to live tonight. I hung up. My wife was staring at me in shock. He doesn't want me to move in with him, she said quietly. Shocking. Almost like he was just looking for easy sex with no commitment. But he said he loved me. Men say lots of things to get what they want. He's not like that. Really? Because he just proved he's exactly like that. She sat there, processing this new reality. The man she'd thrown her marriage away for wasn't ready to catch her. What do I do now? Whatever single women do. Get an apartment. Pay your own bills. Live your own life. I don't want to be single. Should have thought about that before you started acting single. Can we try again? No. Why not? Because I don't want to. Because trust can't be rebuilt on this foundation. Because you're not the woman I married anymore. People change. Yes, they do. You change. Who lies and cheats. I change into someone who won't tolerate it. She picked up her suitcases. This isn't over. Yes, it is. I'll fight the divorce. With what lawyer? You just lost your income source. I'll find a way. Good luck. She walked to the door, then turned back. I really did love you. Past tense. Noted. After she left, I sat in the quiet house. For the first time in months, I didn't wonder where she really was or who she was really with. For the first time in months, I felt peace. 6 months later, I was a different man. The divorce had been finalized in record time. Her confession recording made everything simple. No contested assets, no lengthy court battles, no alimony. She'd signed everything my lawyer put in front of her. I'd used the time productively, lost 20 pounds, gained muscle mass, updated my wardrobe, started taking cooking classes on Thursday nights, joined a hiking group that met Sundays. My social calendar was fuller than it had been in years. Work was going better, too. Without the constant distraction of wondering what she was really doing, my focus had sharpened. I'd landed 2 major clients and gotten a promotion with a substantial raise. The house felt like mine again. I'd repainted the bedroom, bought new furniture, turned her old office into a home gym. Every trace of our marriage had been systematically removed and replaced with things I actually wanted. My phone buzzed with a text from an unknown number. Can we talk, please? It's important. I knew who it was. She'd been trying to contact me for weeks through different numbers, email addresses, even social media accounts I'd blocked. I'd ignored them all, but curiosity got the better of me. What do you want? To apologize? To explain? 5 minutes. Nothing to explain. We're divorced. Jake left me. Not my problem. I have nowhere to go. Still not my problem. Please. I made a mistake. I stared at the text for a moment, then typed back. You made a choice. Live with it. I blocked the number and went back to cooking dinner. Later that evening, my doorbell rang. Through the window, I could see her car in my driveway. I didn't answer. She rang again, then knocked, then started talking through the door. I know you're in there. Your car is here. I turned up the TV volume. I just want to talk. 5 minutes. I kept watching my show. I was wrong about everything. Jake was using me. I see that now. Still nothing for me. I threw away 8 years for someone who didn't even care about me. I muted the TV, but didn't move toward the door. He dumped me after 2 weeks. Said dating a divorced woman was too complicated. Too much drama. Interesting, but irrelevant. I've been staying in a motel for 3 months. I can't afford an apartment. Not my concern. I lost my job. They said the workplace relationship created a hostile environment. She was crying now. I could hear it in her voice. My parents won't help me. They're ashamed of what I did. Good for them. I know I don't deserve forgiveness, but I'm desperate. I walked to the window and looked out. She was sitting on my front steps, head in her hands. I felt nothing. No sympathy, no anger, no regret. Just mild curiosity about how long she'd sit there before giving up. After an hour, she left. The next morning, I got a call from her mother. She's in the hospital. What happened? Breakdown. Exhaustion. She hasn't been eating properly. I'm sorry to hear that. She keeps asking for you. I can't help her. She's your wife. She's my ex-wife. We're divorced. But you loved her once. Doesn't that mean anything? It means I'm grateful I learned the truth before wasting more years. Her mother was quiet for a moment. She really did love you, you know? If she loved me, she wouldn't have cheated on me. People make mistakes, and people face consequences for their mistakes. You won't even visit her. No, that seems harsh. Harsh would be taking her back and pretending 8 months of lies never happened. Harsh would be enabling her behavior by rescuing her from the results of her choices. What if she promises to change? She already promised to love, honor, and cherish me, for better or worse. Those promises didn't mean much. So that's it? You just move on. That's exactly it. I hung up and deleted the number. That afternoon, I had a date. Coffee with a woman I'd met at the hiking group. Smart, funny, financially independent. No drama, no games, no lies. As I got ready, I thought about the man I'd been 6 months ago. Naive, trusting, willing to ignore red flags because I wanted to believe the best in people. That man was gone. The new me demanded honesty, respected boundaries, and refused to tolerate disrespect. The new me didn't give third chances to people who'd already proven they couldn't handle first chances. My ex-wife had taught me valuable lessons about character, integrity, and the importance of choosing partners who shared those values. I was grateful for the mission. It had been expensive, but I wasn't bitter. Bitterness would mean she still had power over my emotions. Instead, I felt liberated, free to build a life with someone who understood that love isn't just a feeling. It's a commitment backed up by consistent actions. As I drove to meet my date, I realized I hadn't thought about my ex-wife in weeks. She'd become what she should have been all along, irrelevant to my future. The man who begged for explanations and promised to work things out was gone. In his place was someone who knew his worth and refused to settle for less than he deserved. Someone who understood that the best revenge against people who betray you isn't anger or retaliation. It's living well without them. And I was living very well indeed. So, I've shared my journey through betrayal and rebirth. I want to know, what would you have done in my place? Would you have given her a second chance? Or do you believe, like I do, that some lines simply can't be uncrossed? Let me know your thoughts in the comments below.